It is insane. It is counterproductive to the best interest of our country that hundreds of thousands of bright young people cannot afford to go to college, and that millions of others leave school with a mountain of debt that burdens them for decades.
That was Senator Bernie Sanders on Tuesday at his official campaign kickoff. As president, the Vermont senator said he would fight to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. Free college? What young person wouldn't sign up for that? Which has us wondering if the self-described Democratic socialist, who is 73 years old, is trying to pitch himself as the candidate for millennials. It seems counterintuitive or curious or maybe just odd, but keep in mind that, as we talked about before, Ron Paul, who was 75 years old when he announced in 2012 his presidential run, also struck a chord with young voters, winning nearly half of the under 30 vote in the New Hampshire primary that year. So does this guy end up somehow being the millennial choice of the Democratic primary?
You know, I think he could be. He certainly is sounding the right notes on tuition. I think on the question of policing, you know, I'm waiting to see what he says there, and I want to just go back to that point briefly because I think, you know, it's totally fair to ding O'Malley for his record, but I don't want to leave with the perception that he was, you know, the outlier. If you go back, it would be hard to find a governor or a mayor of a major urban area that didn't also escalate, you know, incarceration, policing. It goes through the Clinton crime bill, the war on drugs, the surveillance under the war on terror. So, you know, this problem, this policing problem, implicates every single politician, Republican and Democrat.
All right, sure, but I also want to lay the blame a little bit more at the front door of the Clinton White House because it wasn't just an ideological question. There were structural incentives to cities to police in this way, right? And I think that gets lost in our sense of like, well, were they good or bad mayors? Well, they were mayors looking for revenue, and as we saw, for example, in the Ferguson report, right, revenue ends up.
The spigot was turned on,
yes,
you know, to militarize
at 1600 Pennsylvania.
SWAT forces, exactly.
And it continues to be. I mean, you know, Barack Obama and Eric Holder have made tentative baby steps by being pressured by a right-left coalition underneath them to kind of begin to roll back some of the excesses of this. But there's a lot of really good criminal justice reform on the table. It is a right-left thing, and it's not establishmentarian thing right now. That is available for someone. Right now, think about this, Democrats.
I feel like former Attorney General Eric Holder would be irritated by the idea that it was only baby steps.
No, it is. On things like civil asset forfeiture, that is baby steps. On things like doing pardons and commutations of sentences, unfortunately, that's only baby steps. And one thing to do in the next, you know, in the remaining days of the Obama presidency is to push him further in that. But think about this right now, and this should give a lot of Democrats pause. The two candidates running right now, and I don't know where Bernie Sanders is, so maybe that's wrong about Bernie, but who are going the furthest on criminal justice reform are Republicans. And one of them is named Ted Cruz. That's got to hurt. So there's space available for Democrats to run on that. I want to know who's going to do it.
Actually, I want to back up from that a little bit because I think it's not just on that, but that there's a bunch of things that if we look and we say, okay, who is the most diverse party right now in terms of who they're offering for the American presidency? Oh, the Republicans beat out by far. Like, I think about that 2008 campaign. We remember it now as Senator Obama versus Senator Clinton, but the last four included a Southern Democrat in John Edwards. I know how that turned out. And Bill Richardson. So we had a Latino, we had a white Southern Democrat, we had an African-American urban a president from Chicago, and a woman all running. And I felt like, oh, well, that's what the new Democratic Party is meant to look like. Now that's what the Republican side looks like. I just sort of wonder what happened to the bench on the Democratic side.
I think we overemphasize this in the media. I think, in fact, it's because it's the Hillary effect. It is the coronation effect. Once she is gone, once she's no longer the factor, I think the Democratic Party will look a lot more like what you think the Democratic Party is supposed to look like. But they came out in 08,
so why? No, I mean, really,
Hillary kept everyone away.
Well, why doesn't any Democrat want to be president bad enough to run?
Let's see if there is a woman of color who is the next senator from California who's a Democrat. If that happens,
you done made Kamala Harris the president already.
No, I'm saying see what happens in 4-8 years if Hillary wins or doesn't win.
But talking about diverse ideas, Bernie Sanders has been there from the beginning. I think he appeals across the political spectrum as well. It's not just a Democrat-Republican thing. I mean, when he says there is something immoral when so few have so much, that addresses the Occupy crowd, that addresses older people, people of color, people across the political spectrum.
And he's not a Democrat.
He's been there from the beginning.
Right, and in part, He's not a Democrat like this. So part of what's interesting to me is on the Democratic primary side, we have one person actually in, one person apparently getting in any time now, Mr. O'Malley, and someone who calls himself a Democratic Socialist and is actually independent because they can't even stomach being in the Democratic Party. That really, when I look at the Democratic Party, that looks pretty anemic to me.
But I think what's important is to talk about the ideas that are and are not addressed. He not only took on the moneyed classes in this country when he made his big address in Vermont, he took on the mainstream media. And that's pretty bold because he depends on them to get his message out. And he immediately said, you know, the campaign is not a baseball game. This is not a sports contest. I hope that didn't turn off all the sports fans, but it isn't. Yeah. And it's about, for example, TPP. The media always talks about the Warren part of the Democratic Party. Well, Elizabeth Warren is not running. Right. And Bernie Sanders has been as staunchly leading the charge against the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will determine 40% of the global economy, opposed to what President Obama is representing.
And for a longer period of time. Still to come this morning.